Let's talk about some notations which we can use under the events. The first one, subset, can be given as A is a subset of B. The meaning of that is A has some or all elements of B. So let's consider an example. Here I am defining an event including the elements 5, 4, 3, and I'm going to compare that with the predefined event D, which includes elements 3, 4, 5 as given above. So you can clearly see that the event that I have defined has all elements of the event D. Therefore, the event that I have defined is a subset of event D. The second symbol, proper subset. It is written as A is proper subset of B. The meaning of that is A has some elements of B. So let's consider another example. Here I am defining an event including the elements 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to compare that with event D defined as above. So when you look at it carefully, the event that I have defined here has some elements of the event D. Therefore, the event that I have defined here is a proper subset of event D. The third symbol, not a subset. So it is given as A, not a subset, B. That means none of the elements in the set defined by someone is not included in the second event. According to this example, the defined event is a set of 1 and 6, and I'm going to compare that with the event C as defined above. Here there are elements included 1, 2, 3, 4 in C. So the event which I have defined, that is the event including 1 and 6, is not a subset of the event C because both 1 and 6 are not included in C. But you can see 1 is included, but here both the elements should be included in C to say the first event is a proper subset of the second event. Since both 1 and 6 are not included in the event C, we can say the event including 1 and 6 is not a subset of event C. The next one, superset. So it is given as A is a superset of B. The meaning is A has some elements as B or more. We can consider an example for this. Here, one set is defined as a set including the elements 1, 2, 3. There's another set again with the elements 1, 2, 3. So the first event has the same elements as the second event. Therefore, you can say the first event is a superset of the second event. Next one, proper superset, given as A is a proper superset of B. The meaning is A has B's elements and more. So when you carefully look at the given example here, as A, you have an event including the values 1, 2, 3, 4. Here as B, you have an event with the values 1, 2, 3. So you can clearly see that the first event given as A here has second event's elements. Therefore, you can say the first event is a proper superset of the second event. The next one, not a superset, is given as A is not a superset of B. So the idea is the opposite of the proper superset. So here the first event includes 1, 2, 6. The second event includes 1, 9. Since the first event is not included all the elements of the second event, we have to say the first event is not a superset of the second event. The next one, the element of, that is our seventh symbol. So simply you write it as simple A is an element of the capital A, that is the set. So let's go for an example for this. So you have an element 3 is element of the event 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to check whether an element or an observation is a part of one of the given set, you can use this symbol, the element of. So simply says, according to this example, 3 is an element of the set including 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth symbol, not element of. You can write it. An observation B is not an element of the set A. So according to the example, our set is the set of values 1, 2, 3, 4. Our observation is 6. So as you can see, 6 is not an element of the given set with values 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next symbol is for the term such that. According to this example, n such that n is greater than 0. That tells the set includes n with the values greater than 0. That means the values of 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. There are two notations for such that as given under the 9th and 10th symbol. So the next symbol is for all. So you can simply use the symbol for all according to this example. For all x greater than 1, x squares are greater than x. So when you consider the values of all x's greater than 1 satisfies the given condition, that is the square of the x's should be greater than x. The next symbol is there exist. So here also you can use there exist symbol according to this example. Here it says there exist x such that x square greater than x. That means you can find x's such that x squared greater than x. And the last one is therefore. So you can use the notation therefore like in example. So here go to the example, it says A equals B. Therefore, you can say B equals A. These are some symbols which we can use to talk about the events. Now, we know that the sets are used to define events. We can even manipulate sets so that they describe all the elements included, things in common, or even things in a set which are not in another. These manipulations are called set operations. So let's talk about few of those set operations. The first one, union, which is given as A union B. The meaning of that is elements in A or B or in both. So let's consider an example. The example says C union D. That gives elements in both C or D. So C is defined as above as well as the D. So what is C? C is a set of 1, 2, 3, 4. D is a set of 3, 4, 5. So C union D means elements in C or B or in both. So what are those elements? We have to consider all the elements of C or D. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So C union D is all the elements in C as well as D. So the next one is the intersection. The intersection is given as A intersection B. The meaning of that is elements in both A and B. So let's consider the given example. It says C and D. In other words, C intersection D means elements common in C as well as D. So C and D are defined as above. So the elements in C are 1, 2, 3, 4. Elements in D are 3, 4, 5. So what are the common elements of C and D? Those are 3 and 4. So the result of C intersection D is a set of 3 and 4. The next one is complement. A is the event. So the complement is denoted by A superscript C, or there's another notation, A dash, or there's another notation, A bar. So the meaning of the complement is elements not in A. So let's consider this example. When your sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and your D is defined as above, then the complement of D is now what? The elements not in event D. So what are the elements not in event D? Those are 1, 2, 6 and 7. So complement of D is a set of 1, 2, 6 and 7, the elements not in D. So those are called the set operations. So parallel to the set operations, we can talk about some more notations. The first one, equality. You can simply write it as A equals B. That implies both sets have the same members. For an example, when you consider set 3, 4, 5 and another set 5, 3, 4, in both sets, elements are the same. So you can simply write set of 3, 4, 5 equals the set of 5, 3, 4. So you can consider another condition for the equality. Two sets are equal if and only if A is a subset of B and also B is a subset of A. The next one, null set. The meaning of the null set is the set containing no elements. So look at the example. We have two sets. First one, 1 and 2. The next one consists with 3 and 4. So we are considering the intersection of those two sets. That means we are talking about common elements of those two sets. So can you identify any common element? The answer is no. There is no common element. So when you apply a set operation for two different sets, the result should be a set. Now here the set with no element. So that sort of a sets are called null sets, denoted by empty curly brackets, or you can use this special symbol to indicate the null set. And let's focus about another special thing, which is called disjoint sets, or in other words, mutually exclusive sets. Actually, we talked about the mutually exclusive events earlier. Now, let's try to understand the mutually exclusive events using the set operations. Here, two sets A and B are called disjoint or mutually exclusive if they contain no common elements. So, if the common elements exist, then we called there is no mutual exclusiveness. The mutual exclusiveness means no common elements in two events or two sets. So if common elements are not available, then what will happen when you consider the intersection of A and B? Since no elements are common, the intersection should be a null set. So for disjoint sets or mutually exclusive sets, the intersection gives you a null set. Venn diagram. Venn diagram is a graphical representation which is very useful for illustrating set operations. Let's consider these given examples for Venn diagram. Can you notice some common features of these given Venn diagrams? I think you can. One of the common features is the boundary, which is represented by the rectangle. So the boundary shows the sample space of the experiment. It includes all possible observations. And inside the boundary, events are marked because an event is a subset of the sample space. So that's why we mark all the events by the circles inside the boundary or inside the sample space. So that's how we draw the Venn diagrams. Now let's focus on the shaded regions of the Venn diagrams. Let's consider part A. Look at the shaded region of part A. Of the shaded region, you can identify the elements belongs to A only, elements belongs to B only, as well as elements common for A and B. So, can you notice what that shaded region is? I think you should. This is the definition of A union B. So, this is how we highlight A union B of a Venn diagram. So now let's go for the Venn diagram B. Focus on the shaded region again. So the shaded region is for the elements of A and B, common elements of A and B. So what is the definition of that? That is the definition of A intersection B. So this is the way of highlighting A intersection B of a Venn diagram. Now let's focus on the Venn diagram C. Did you notice what the shaded region is? Shaded region consists with the elements not in A. So what is that then? That is the A prime. A prime means elements not in A. So this is how we mark A prime on a Venn diagram. Now the Venn diagram D. Now when you carefully look at the Venn diagram D, not like in other Venn diagrams, the event B is marked completely inside the event A because event B is a proper subset of event A. Now let's focus on the shaded region. When you look at the shaded region carefully, you can notice that the elements in the shaded regions are belongs to A but not B. So this is the region of A intersection B prime. So this is how we mark A intersection B prime on a Venn diagram like this. So I think you had some sort of an idea about Venn diagrams and how to identify the regions on the Venn diagram. So I'll give you a separate video for some more examples of the Venn diagram later. Let's learn about set identities. The first set identity is the complement of sample space equals the null set. So you know that we are working with the elements of the sample space. So can you identify any element fallen outside the sample space? The answer is no. Therefore, what is the complement of the sample space? The complement of the sample space is a null set, that is the set with no elements. The next set identity is the complement of the null set equals the sample space. Now we know that there are no elements fallen outside the sample space. So the set of the elements fallen outside the sample space is a null set. So what is the complement of the set with the elements fallen outside the sample space? That is the set of elements fallen inside the sample space. That is the sample space. The next set identity says the complement of A equals A. So what is A? A is a subset which is inside the sample space. So first let's identify what is the complement of A. So the complement of A is marked in blue color and A is marked in green color. So what is the complement of A? That is the set which is outside the blue color area. The only set of elements fallen outside the blue color area is the green color area. So the green color area is the set of A. So the complement of A equals A. The next set identity says sample space union A gives S. So what is the meaning of the sample space union A? That gives the elements fallen inside the S or the elements fallen inside the A. So when you carefully look at the elements fallen inside the S or elements fallen inside the A, you can simply write that as the entire set of elements, that is the elements fallen inside the S. So sample space union A gives the sample space. Next one. A union complement of A equals S. So as you can see, A is marked as green. Complement of A is marked in blue. So A union complement of A means union of blue color area and the green color area. So what is the union of both of those colors? The union of both of those colors gives the sample space S, the entire set of values. The next set identity is sample space S intersection A equals A. So A is given as green. So the sample space is the entire area. So we need to identify the common elements of sample space and A. Since A is a subset of sample space, the common elements of sample space and A are the elements inside A only. So the answer is A. The next one is A intersection complement of A equals the null set. So as you can see, A is marked in green. Complement of A is marked in blue. So here A intersection complement of A means common elements of A and complement of A. So can you identify any common element of area marked in green and the area marked in blue? No, there are no common elements. So what is the result of this? It is a set of no elements. That means a null set. Now let's learn about laws of sets. Under the laws of sets, first law is called the commutative law. The commutative law says if you have A union B, then you will get the same results from B union A. That is the same for the intersection as well. If you have A intersection B, then you can write the same thing as B intersection A. So that's what the commutative law says. The next law is the associative law. We apply the associative law if the sets are connected with the same set operation. So let's look at it. If you have A union B union C, so the operations are the same. So according to the basic rules, we solve the brackets first. So we need to consider B union C first. Then you have to consider the union of that with A. So this can be written as A union B union C. That means first we consider A union B. Then you can get the union of that with the remaining event C. So that's what the associative law says. So you can apply the same associative law for the intersections as A intersection B intersection C can be written as A intersection B intersection C. The next one is distributive law. So here we need the same set operations to apply the associative law. But to apply the distributive law, we need different set operations under the arrangement. Now look at the arrangement. A intersection B union C. So it says first you need to get the B union C, then you have to get the intersection of that with A. So according to the distributive law, you can write this as A intersection B union A intersection C. So what is the mechanism of writing it? Look at this. First of all, consider the element, consider the event given outside the bracket. So here that is A. And consider the operation attached with that event, that is intersection. Now pick the very first event given in the bracket. So that is B. So combine A with B with the operation attached with A, that is the intersection. From that you can build the first pair. Now write down the operation given inside the bracket. Here it is now the union. Now you need to form the second pair. To form the second pair, again you have to consider the event given outside the bracket with the operation, that is A intersection, and combine the remaining event inside the bracket with that. Then you can make the second pair A intersection C. So that's how we apply the distributive law. So you can apply the same thing by changing the operations as given below. So it says A union B intersection C. So according to the law, you need to identify two pairs. The first pair, A union B, the event outside the bracket with the symbol, that is A union. Pick the first event given in the bracket, that is B. So that's our first pair, A union B. Then write down the operation given inside the bracket, that is the intersection. Again, to build the second pair, you need to consider the event and the operation given outside the bracket, that is A union, and combine that with the remaining event given inside the bracket, that is C. Then you can make A union C over there. So A union B intersection C can be written as A union B intersection A union C. So that's the distributive law. The last one is De Morgan's law. So this is what the De Morgan's law says. If you have the complement of A union B, that means first you need to consider A union B, then you need to get the complement of that. So this can be written as complement of first event, complement of A, then you have to change the operation union into the intersection. And the next one is the complement of B, the complement of the second event. So complement of A union B can be written as complement of A intersection complement of B. Similarly, Complement of A intersection B can be written as complement of A. Now change the symbol intersection into union, union, complement of B. So complement of A intersection B can be written as complement of A union complement of B. So that's what the De Morgan's law says. Up to now, we defined some terms like experiment, sample space, events, and etc. And we talked about set operations, then Venn diagrams, set identities, and laws of sets. Now, I think you have grabbed a certain amount of knowledge about the discussed parts. Now you can try the given exercise using your knowledge about what we have learned here.